Hello and welcome back to my sewing corner. If you're new here, you're very much welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Today, without wasting time, I'm going to be showing us how to make a puff sleeve, how to cut and how to sew a puff sleeve. So I'm going to be using this sleeve, basic sleeve, to illustrate. So if you need a tutorial on how to draft and cut a basic sleeve, I have a video on that already. And I'm going to try to link it with this one. So basically, you're going to need the following measurements to make a puff sleeve. You're going to need your cap height, you're going to need your armhole, and you're going to need your upper arm sleeve. That's the biggest part, or your bicep, the widest part of your arm. And also you need your round sleeve, where you want your sleeve length to get to. So this is like a short sleeve pattern. So if you want your puff sleeve to be 3/4 length, you measure your 3/4 length, and you also add about 2 inches to it. You can add from 2 to 3 inches just in case the puff shifts, adjust the length. It reduces the length, so you can still have your actual measurements. Right? So this is the basic sleeve pattern, like I said, and all I need from this is just to show you the armhole. So you notice the cap height, where you have your armhole curve. Depends on how puffy you want your sleeve to be. If you want to be very puffy, you might decide to use twice your round sleeve measurement. That is, using what you have here, twice of it, from this place to this place. So in this unfold, so you can choose to measure from here to this point and then use twice of it, or use 1.5 or use 3. It depends on how puffy you want it to be. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to use what I have on this pattern paper. I think it's about twice of it. So whatever I have from here up to this point, this short sleeve length is what I want to use for the puff sleeve. Like I said, you need to add about 2 to 3 inches to hit. So you can start. This is where the normal measurement should be, but I'm going to increase it. Okay. Alright. So I'm just going to add my 2 to 3. This one already has the seam allowance, so you don't have to add any seam allowance to it, or the hemming allowance. So I'm just going to add the 2 inches to the length, to the initial length, because of the puffy nature of the sleeve. This cap height, you're going to reduce this. You're going to make it come down. You want to be as free as possible. Just mark it here like this and then connect the line, because I want to drop it a little bit. Okay, so you can drop it by 2 inches by the same allowance you've given the length. All right, so this is the original sleeve length, and we increased it by 2 inches. The same thing I did here. I dropped the cap height. This is the initial cap height, as you can see, and I also dropped it by 2 inches, the same allowance I gave to the sleeve line, to curve it from here to this point. So this is what you should have. All right, so, and you don't need to shape your the side of your sleeve. You don't need to shape the side seam. As you can see, for your basic sleeve, you have to shape it with your round sleeve measurement. You don't need to do that. All you need your round sleeve measurement is, you need it for your elastic. So to do that, you're going to place the elastic around your wherever your sleeve length will get to, wherever the puffy sleeve length will get to, and you make sure it's very tight. Let me show you. So let's say I want to get to 3/4 of my sleeve, then I'm going to place it very firmly, because it's an elastic band and it has tendency of losing a stretch. So you want to make sure it's very firm, very, very firm. Okay, so the other method you can use is to subtract 1 inch from your sleeve measurements. Okay, so you don't have to shape that. You only need that to cut your elastic band. I'm going to cut that out now and show you what to do next. Because you're going to be using your elastic band at a sleeve length, you don't need to gather the base of your sleeve. Now, this is the new sleeve we have, so let me just remove this so it doesn't confuse anyone. So because we're going to be putting an elastic band, like I said, you don't need to pleat the base of your sleeve. You only need to pleat the armhole curve on your sleeve. All right, so I recommend that you notch the center of your sleeve. That way, by the time you start pleating, this center line must fall on your shoulder joining. All right, shoulder joining of your bodies or of your gown. Now, there are different ways you can gather your sleeve. You can decide to make loose stitch across this, leaving about ½ inch. You see that way you can gather it together, or you form pleats till you get the actual measurement. So you need to know your armhole measurements, and you add your ease allowance to it. Depends on how much ease you want it to have. So you're going to leave that before you start gathering. So if you want to gather it, you're going to leave your ease allowance here, and then you start making your loose stitch. So make sure you measure your ease allowance first before you make your loose stitch. Even if you're pleating, make sure to leave your ease allowance, and then you pleat across the curve of the armhole round. Okay, so that's it for the pleats. Now once you've done that, now this ease allowance that you left, just sew it straight to the base of your sleeve. That way your sleeve will now be closed. You will need your safety pin to pass the elastic band across the hem of your sleeve. So now what you're going to do is to just fold in twice, just to seal up the edges of your sleeve. Already we have the hem allowance included in the length. So using that allowance you have, if it is 1 inch, make sure you fold by that 1 inch. If you know it's a rough edge, you can overlock it before folding once, or you fold twice. Just make sure you use the allowance you've given it, and then you put your your safety pin, and you pass your elastic band around it. So it's going to gather. It's going to gather naturally once you pass your elastic band. And that's all I have for you on how to make a puff sleeve, or a puffy sleeve, or a balloon sleeve. So if you have any questions for me, let me know in the comment section, and I'll be there to answer you. If you find this video useful, please click on the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please click on the red subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.